Welcome Gooners and Goonerettes. This is Arsenal versus Spurs preview for Saturday's game at lunchtime. And Arsenal go into the October as a whole as the Premier League pace setters. And this is the month where the Gunners will be truly tested in October. Now, Arteta will need to show that he can rotate the squad effectively while maintaining a consistency in performance. And players like Thomas Partey, Zinchenko, with them now being fit, both players already having injury concerns this season, this will be key to our success moving forward. Gunners have only lost one of their last 29 home North London derbies in the league, which is 17 wins, 11 draws. And they're unbeaten in their last 11 games against Spurs at the Emirates Stadium. Just a few days ago, Arsenal women set an unprecedented record, selling 52,000 tickets and having 47,000 turn up to watch a 4-0 drubbing of Spurs women. So we can build on that as the men. You know, the women are showing us how to win at the national stage. They're showing us how to win at the league stage. So the men have got to start to step up now. Now the Gunners have home field advantage and they look to have more of an impressive side this term with 6 wins from 7 league games. And Arteta will be welcoming back his captain Martin Odegaard and Kieran Tierney, despite Kieran Tierney picking up a head injury in Scotland's draw with the Republic of Ireland. Now, Zinchenko should also recover in time. He had the calf injury, remember, guys, which kept him out of the Brentford game. But he'll be ready for the derby. Now, Arteta will hope to have a full-strength squad starting on Saturday. We're likely to see Kieran Tierney, though, drop to the bench because of Zinchenko. But Smith Rowe, he's definitely going to be out after undergoing surgery today and on a groin tendon issue, so that's going to rule him out until after the World Cup. But Thomas Partey's going to be back. Suarez, he had a knock, he's going to be back. Reece Nelson's been training for the last few days with that thigh injury he had. He's going to be pushing for a return. And I think Reece Nelson's an option on that left side as well if we want to give Martinelli a rest. For Spurs, though, Kulusevski, he's going to be a doubt for the North London derby after he suffered a muscle injury on international duty with Sweden. He underwent a scan reporting at the Spurs training base and he complained of more muscle tissue pain. So that's going to be an issue for them. He started both of Sweden's international games against Slovenia and Serbia. So that means that Song and Richarlison can be expected to provide support for Harry Kane in attack. Now, the form guide pretty much shows Arsenal beating Brentford, losing to Man United, beating Villa and Fulham and Bournemouth. And what I want to say about the Fulham, Villa and Bournemouth games is, although those score lines 2-1 to Arsenal against Villa, 2-1 to Arsenal against Fulham, 3-0 to Arsenal against Bournemouth, it flattered on the opponent's side because Arsenal had plenty chances and plenty goals which they missed in those games and really should have rinsed those teams. Whereas when I look at Spurs form guide, yes, it was a great game when Song came on against Leicester and provided a hat-trick. But against Fulham and West Ham, Spurs should not have won those games. They script past those games and also against Wolves as well. Obviously, Nottingham Forest was what it was. Being them coming up as a promoted team didn't really offer much resistance against Spurs. But in those games with Wolves, West Ham and Fulham, Spurs were lucky. Even the Chelsea game, if I even go back to the Chelsea game, Spurs were lucky that they got out with any kind of points whatsoever. So when you look at it in terms of on the forward guide, yes, it shows that Spurs are unbeaten. Yes, it shows that Arsenal have won pretty much all their games except for Man United. But Arsenal are actually the informed team because of the performances they're putting in are way better than what Spurs are. And if we go to the recent meetings, I think this is really indicative of the two teams. So what this shows you is that the home field advantage is key here, and you've got to give a lot of that to the fans, the way that they G the teams up for the local derbies. And it seems that whoever is at home in this fixture is the one that wins. Now, I don't know whether this season we're going to see the chain broken. The two different reasons are for Spurs, they have Conte. Last time around, they had a foo-foo manager, which he just had no idea what was going on with Spurs, and that's the reason why he's not there anymore. And for Arsenal, we didn't have the strength in depth with the squad And towards the end of last season, the gas ran out. We had nothing from Martinelli, Saka, and Odegaard. You know, those young guns that had got us to, and Smith Rowe as well. Those young guns that had got us into that position in the top four, they were running on empty. And with the last sort of 10 games, hardly any of them were doing anything. They certainly weren't scoring goals. I know Saka came in with a couple of penalties and that worked out really well. But as I said, as a whole, in terms of scoring goals, that's one of the reasons why, because we just ran out of gas. Well, that has changed this season. Arsenal have become a much more stronger outfit in terms of what they are in their squad. So what I would also talk about as well is in the season so far, they have a nice little breakdown here and showing you what they have in terms of clean sheets. Arsenal's got more clean sheets, more chances created per match, and that pretty much shows you which team is on top in the form guide, and Arsenal are top of the league. So I'm going with a 2-0 win, guys, with us imposing our style onto them as we did Man United. But having no doubt, we've learnt from the United games in terms of conceded goals from counter-attacks, which is what we showed against Brentford. Now, Conte's style hasn't really been exposed yet. He's playing it safe and using the counter to get results in tight games. Now, my biggest question is how will Song and Kane manage against this new style Arsenal defence of Saliba, who's arguably been one of the best defenders in the league so far this season? And also Thomas Partey as well, how he would fare in the midfield. Whether they would get Basuma on, I don't think so. He hasn't really started for them much this season. So I think that Partey could manage to win the midfield battle. Now, I also watched highlights against Spurs game against City from last season where they were excellent, cutting through Man City at times, who were not pressing them and closing down the lanes properly. Arsenal are going to be doing that. Arsenal are going to be on the front foot against Spurs. The Spurs game is designed to sort of pick up around teams' mistakes from the midfields and exploiting those empty spaces on counter-attacks. This is why they had a lot of success against top teams last season, but they struggled against good defensive teams that don't attack very well, like Brighton and Wolves. Now, I'd like to see Arsenal going long to Jesus, using the ability he has with the hold-up play. He's the most foul player in the Premier League, so I think that that's something that we can use to sort of switch it up and not allow Spurs to bear down on us at home. So as for the starting lineup, I'm going to go with Ramsdale, White, Gabriel, Saliba, Zinchenko comes in at left back. I'm going to go with Partey and Xhaka in the midfield. And then I'm going to go with Odegaard, Saka, Jesus and Martinelli. So let me know what your thoughts are, guys, on this preview. And I will speak to you in the next one. Peace out, guys.